Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and welcome to the National Concert Hall for this milestone event, the 10th anniversary of one of opera's most exciting platforms for young artists, the Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. Now, as we arrive at the gala finals of this great contest, a few introductions. I'm Liz Nolan of RTE Lyric FM. It's a pleasure and a privilege for me to compare these performances, which are both live streamed and broadcast live on RTE Lyric FM. With me, one of Ireland's great cultural assets. May I present the National Symphony Orchestra and welcoming their leader, Fionnuala Hunt. Before we welcome our distinguished jury, there is one name above all that we remember with respect and with love. Founder of this competition, Ireland's great diva, and one of the most brilliant and inspiring voice teachers of modern times, Dr. Veronica Dunne, or Ronnie, as indeed she was known to possibly everyone in this concert hall. It is thanks to her vision, her generosity, and her indomitable spirit that this great venture has come about, part of Dr. Dunne's passionate commitment to helping young singers to achieve their full potential. She is with us tonight in spirit. Her legacy carried on by these superb artists. Ladies and gentlemen, let us salute Dr. Veronica Dunne. And now, time to welcome our panel of illustrious adjudicators for tonight. One of Ireland's most prominent figures in music, jury chair Jane Carty, is joined by legendary opera maestro and scholar Richard Bonning, our own prima donna, international mezzo-soprano and former student of Veronica Dunne, Tara Irocht, General Director of Seattle Opera, Christina Scheppelmann, from Staatsoper Hamburg, its casting director, Isla Mundell-Perkins, from the Royal Opera House Covent Garden, Artistic Director of the Yete Parker Artists Program, David Gowland, and from New York's Metropolitan Opera, Artistic Advisor, Jonathan Friend. What an honor. Ladies and gentlemen, our eminent jury. On to the music, and a hearty welcome and toi 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 to our first performer this evening. From Armenia, baritone Grisha Martirosyan is a graduate of the Yerevan State Conservatory and Scotland's Royal Conservatoire. In 2019, Grisha triumphed at the Gohar Gasparian National Singing Competition in Armenia, winning first prize. And in his roles, Grisha has excelled in the late bel canto operas of Donizetti and Rossini, alongside the titular role in Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin. For his program, Grisha is set to take us from verismo passion to the lush romanticism of French opera, beginning with Leon Cavallo's Pagliacci, or Clowns. At its outset, Tonio, one of the characters, sets a scene with a prologue. His story, that of a human tragedy, jealousy and passion concealed behind the smiles of an acting troupe. Si può, signore, signori. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, he sings, and later reminds us, we are men of flesh and blood, breathing the air of this lonely world, just like you. From Hail to Farewell in our next aria, Avant de quitter ces lieux, before leaving this place, from Charles Gounod's Faust. Valentin is a soldier who is called up to do battle far away. But before he departs, he prays for the safety of his beloved sister Marguerite, entrusting her to the care of heaven while he fights far away. And finally, there's more from La Belle France in Massenet's biblical opera Hérodiade. In a twist on the usual Seven Veil saga, King Herod is in love with Salome without realizing that she is in fact the daughter of his wife, Hérodiade. At night, he downs a filter and fantasizes about the girl, singing Vision fugitive et toujours poursuivie, fugitive and relentless vision, mysterious angel who claims all my life. Portraying a broad sweep of emotion and character, ladies and gentlemen, our first competitor in the Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition 2022 with the National Symphony Orchestra and esteemed maestro Laurent Wagner, and in due course we will welcome baritone Grisha Martirosyan.
Per dirvi come brilla le lacrime che noi versiam son false degli spasimi e dei nostri martir non allarmatevi no l'autore ha cercato invece pingervi uno squarcio di vita e li ha permasi ma so che l'artista è un uomo e che per gli uomini scrivere deve e dal vero ispirasi. Dunque, vedrete amare cherche la gloire sa thèse à l'ami, la première, la plus grave, pour de l'âme, j'irai combattre pour mon pays. Et si vers lui Dieu me rappelle, je veillerai sur toi fidèle. Oh, je pourrais la revoir, contempler sa beauté. Divine volupté, amarga promise, espérance trop brève qui vient verser mon cœur à troubler ma raison. Ne t'offris pas douce illusion.
such unalloyed rapture in the singing of Grisha Martirosyan, the first competitor in the 2022 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with our competition, just a little heads up that you, the audience, have a role to play. Among the awards offered this evening is a €1,000 audience prize for one of the singers. So, if you are watching us on the RTE Lyric FM live stream, you can vote via a QR code, which should be appearing on your screen right now. Or indeed, if you're here at the National Concert Hall, you can place your vote via a QR code, which is in your program, or indeed there's a little physical pull-out coupon as well, if you prefer. So, with having said that, let us continue with our glorious song. And our next competitor hails from beautiful Poland. Mezzo-soprano Zuzanna Nalewajek is a graduate of the Frédéric Chopin University of Music, and she's a member of Warsaw's Opera Academy, part of the National Opera. A multi-prize winner at national vocal festivals and competitions, Zuzanna was awarded first place at the International Song Competition in Sofia, and most recently, honorable mention and a special prize at the Adasari International Vocal Artistry Competition. Her wide range of concert performances includes a recent staged fantasy on the themes of Moniuszko's songs, titled In the Garden, plus the Polish National Opera's New Year's Gala under Maestro Patrick Fournillier. While on the opera stage, Zuzanna took on the role of Dorabella in a Wrocław opera production of Mozart's Così fan tutte. In her program tonight, Zuzanna is set to bring us three aspects of love. First, we'll meet with Cherubino, that boy wonder of Mozart's opera buffa Le Nozze di Figaro, or The Marriage of Figaro. Distracted by nearly every woman he lays eyes on, Cherubino confesses his emotion to his godmother, who he also fancies, in the aria Voi che sapete, you who know what love is, ladies, see if I have it in my heart. To follow, there's more teen spirit in Wie du warst, wie du bist, from Act 1 of Richard Strauss's Der Rosenkavalier. Here we meet Octavian, a young chevalier of the Viennese Ancien Regime, who's lover to another older woman, the Marschallin. How you have been, how you are, no one knows, no one suspects, he exclaims in rapture after their night of passion. And finally, from toy boys to smart girls, it's over to Rosina, the heroine of Rossini's comic opera Il Barbiere di Siviglia, or The Barber of Seville. Sequestered away by her grumpy old guardian, who hopes to marry her and her money, Rosina has other ideas. She has laid eyes on a handsome young student, Lindoro, and she decides that this is the man for her. In Una voce poco fa, a voice from a little while ago, Rosina lays out her manifesto. Lindoro will be mine, I swear it, I will win. And we believe her. With a trio of love-struck lads and ladies, the National Symphony Orchestra, Maestro Laurent Wagner, and ladies and gentlemen, mezzo-soprano Zuzanna Nalewajek.
Worte, bloße Worte, nicht du sag, aber dennoch, es ist etwas in ihnen, ein Schwindel, ein Sehen und Drängen, ein Schmachten und Brennen, wie jetzt meine Hand zu deiner Hand kommt, dass du mir wohlnehm, lass mich hören, dass mi fa guidar. Ma se mi toccano dove il mio debole sarò una vipera sarò, e 100 trappole prima di cedere farò giocar i 100 trappoli prima di cedere farò giocar i 100 trappoli prima di cedere i 100 trappole farò giocar. Io sono docile, sono obbediente, mi lascio reggere, mi fa guidar. Ma se mi toccano dove il mio debole sarò una vipera, sarò, e 100 trappole prima di cedere farò giocar i 100 trappoli prima di cedere farò giocar i 100 trappoli prima di cedere i 100 trappole farò giocar i 100 trappoli farò giocar i 100 trappoli farò giocar
Throwing down the gauntlet for lovers and for mezzo-sopranos everywhere. What a stunning performance from mezzo Zuzanna Nalewajek. All part of this Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition, where now we are set to welcome a primo uomo of the opera stage as our next competitor. From Great Britain, tenor Godfrey-Mayes is a graduate of the Royal Academy of Music and the Royal Academy Opera, following which he's performed at the Masquerade Opera Studio of Florence. His cache of competition awards includes first place at the David Clover Festival of Singing, first at the Royal Academy of Music Pavarotti Prize, and a 19th century Italian Opera Prize at the Mozart Singing Competition. Aaron's opera roles have included flute in Britain's A Midsummer Night's Dream with the Royal Academy Opera, a cover for Trique at a Garsington Opera production of Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin, and shortly he stars as Ferrando in a staging of Mozart's Così fan tutte at the Amersham Festival of Music. So for his program this evening, Aaron presents 3 declarations of love. The first of which takes us to Mozart's last great stage work, his Singspiel Die Zauberflöte, or the Magic Flute. Tamino is a prince charged with a perfect quest to rescue a princess from captivity. And the fairy tale is complete when he's handed her portrait, and Tamino falls in love. Dies Bildnis ist bezaubernd schön, he sings. This picture is enchantingly lovely as no eye ever before beheld. To follow our Prince Charming is a country lad, Nemorino, the hero of Donizetti's comedy L'Elisir d'Amore, or The Elixir of Love. Having long pined for a woman out of his league, the wealthy Adina, Nemorino has suddenly become catch of the day among all the other local beauties in his village. Could it be, he wonders to himself, did he see Adina weep as all these merry girls clamored around him in the aria Una furtiva lagrima, or a single secret tear? To follow Nemorino's musing, we've another Donizetti hero to round off the romance. Now, emotionally, Tonio is in a much better place. He's in love with Marie, la fille du régiment, the daughter of the regiment. With a motley crew of surrogate fathers to contend with, Tonio has had to beg their permission to marry Marie, and how happy he is when they consent. So happy that not just one high C is going to do it. Oh no, not even 2, not even 3. Oh yes, we have all 9 high Cs to grace his aria of joy. Ah, mes amis, quel jour de fête. Ah, my friends, what a day of celebration. To perform these arias, ladies and gentlemen, with the National Symphony Orchestra and Maestro Laurent Wagner, please welcome tenor Aaron Godfrey-Mayes.
Bezaubernd schön, wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. Ich fühl es, wie dies Götterbild mein Herz mit neuer Regung fühlt. Mein Herz mit neuer Regung fühlt. Dies etwas kann ich zwar nicht nennen, doch fühl ich's hier wie Feuer brennen. Soll die Empfindung Liebe sein, soll die Empfindung Liebe sein. Ja, ja. Sie, wollen Sie suoi sospir. I palpiti sentir, confondere i miei co suoi sospir. Cielo, si può morir, di più non chiedo, non chiedo. Ah, cielo, si può morir, di più non chiedo. Non chiedo. Si può morir, si può morir. Je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. À mes amis que jour de fête, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. L'amour qui m'a tourné la tête, désormais me raviro. Quel bonheur! À mes amis, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. Oui, seul pour qui je respire, à mes voeux, à dignes sourires, et ce doux espoir de bonheur trouble ma raison et mon cœur. À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. À mes amis, quel jour de fête, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. Je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux, je vais marcher. À mes amis, je vais marcher sous vos drapeaux. Pour mon âme, quel dessein! J'ai sa flamme et j'ai sa main. Jour prospère me voici
simili te di mari, me va simili te di mari.
Oh, I'd say that was 9+ high Cs. A bravura finale by tenor Aaron Godfrey-Mayes with Donizetti's Ah, mes amis. And ladies and gentlemen, if you please, may we salute a treasure which is beyond count, our own magnificent National Symphony Orchestra. Having heard 3 of our 6 finalists, we'll now take a very brief interval and we'll look forward to see you soon for the second half of the 2022 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. Thank you very much.
You're listening to RTE Lyric Live.
And in our interval feature, Vlad Smishkevich looks at what makes a voice a beautiful voice.
What makes a voice a beautiful voice? Well, what a way to open a can of worms, right? You could tell me that for every listener there's a different opinion, and you'd be right. Maybe it's best not to try and proclaim what makes a voice objectively beautiful, but to talk about how and why people have considered certain voices or vocal styles beautiful across the ages. And to keep things simpler, perhaps I'll focus mostly on Western art music, but I'll try and draw a few important ideas along the way from other music traditions as well. Plus, I'll touch on the way in which we consume music today and how that affects what we find beautiful. It's all on The Human Voice, Part 2, with me, Vlad Smishkevich. Beauty, to paraphrase the familiar expression, is in the ear of the behearer. But if it were as simple as that, we wouldn't have such strong opinions and debates about who and what we like when it comes to singers and singing. Some listeners might think that the version of Purcell's setting of Shakespeare's text, Music for a While, sung by Susanna Wallenrode, might qualify as beautiful, while others might object to the vocal style or timbre, the setting, or other details. When it comes to vocal preferences, if it were as simple as to each their own, then we most definitely would not have a thriving world of broadcast and social media that hooks listeners in with sounds and sound bites that depend on what some segments of the population find interesting or engaging. Sometimes what captures people's attention doesn't necessarily fall under the label of beautiful. It could be humorous, even irresistibly annoying, but definitely attention-grabbing. And then, of course, we have divisions among ourselves as a human family about what we consider pleasant or beautiful, even within lovers of a same style. So how do we make sense of all of this? Let's take this a step at a time and talk about what's behind the idea of beauty. But maybe we aren't using the right word here, or even asking the right question. What does beauty want? What actually do we want?
Beauty, since you so much desire to know the place of Cupid's fire, about you somewhere doth it rest, yet never harbored in the breast.
The lute song Beauty, If You So Much Desire by Thomas Campion, a balance of words and melody with the polyphonic lines heard in the instrumental part. Sung by tenor Frederick Urry, and with Ron McFarlane on lute, it was an expression of vocalism that came from the late Renaissance and early Baroque, from the start of the 1600s. It was a time that held poetry and verse in high esteem, and listeners thought it was important to hear words clearly, but they also enjoyed a good melody as well as thoughtful polyphonic textures. Campion, along with other contemporaries such as Dowland, Rossiter, Holborn, and Morley, were champions of the lute song, which elevated sung poetry to a form accessible by all, but still based in melodic expression. Words, melody, good accompaniment, these were lute song's priorities. Around the same time over in Italy, composer Claudio Monteverdi was writing music for chapel and stage, sacred and secular, and while he was no stranger to good polyphony, he was definitely interested in the words taking center stage, and they would do so thanks to excellent support from his deft harmonic and melodic writing. Always, though, the music was the handmaiden of the words, and Monteverdi said as much in his 1605 response to the conservative music theorist Giovanni Artusi. Once more, the words were top priority, but Monteverdi and his contemporaries added yet another dimension to the vocal expression, spotlighting the text in a novel way: ornamentation. From Monteverdi's seventh book of madrigals, that was Tempora la Cetra, performed by the Consort of Music, directed by Anthony Rulli. We can hear from works like this the importance of words and the use of vocal ornamentation, two priorities of the Italian late Renaissance. So it sounds like we're getting onto something here. Each period and each region seems to have its musical priorities, those things that stand out in the repertoire, the style and the performance of music from the time and place. What other priorities did other time periods and locales have? Well, let's continue our whirlwind tour of Western vocal music and see if it gets us any closer to cracking this riddle of vocal beauty.
La gioia io sento, il dolce tormento che avrò di partire. Non ne morire, non ne morire.
At the start of the 18th century, singers were now being sought out for their ability to not only declaim texts clearly, but also for their melismatic prowess. In other words, they could sing quick and florid passages in the midst of arias, just as we heard Philippe Jaruski and Cecilia Bartoli doing together a moment ago in the duet La gioia ch'io sento from Nicola Porpora's opera Mitridate. Alternating longer-held phrases to bring out the counterpoint against quickly running ornamented lines required two types of control in singing: excellent tuning and a smooth but shimmering voice, and one that was light and not plodding and able to take those quick turns around the fioritura or melismas. One of the best-known singers of this period was Carlo Broschi, known by his stage name Farinelli, and himself a student of Nicola Porpora. This castrato singer came to be known as one of the most admired of his time, and he was renowned throughout Europe for his ability to perform runs, trills, and all manner of virtuosic passages. Plus, he was also able to elicit great vocal power in performance, which let him fill the opera houses and music halls of the time. These vocal skills were important in the music of another pretty well-known composer from the 18th century.
Ecco il punto, o Vitellia, d'esaminar la tua costanza. Avrai valor che basti a remediare sangue il tuo sesto fedele. Sesto che t'ama più della vita sua, che per tua colpa divenne reo, che tu vidi crudele, che ingiusta t'adorò, in faccia morte si gran fede ti serba.
From Act 2 of Mozart's Clemenza di Tito, the character of Vitellia, here sung by Fatma Said, winner of the 2016 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. Vitellia begins this recitative section clearly declaiming the words that preoccupy her mind. Will she be strong enough to admit her plans of conspiracy against Tito, the emperor, in order to save the life of her beloved Sesto, even if it costs her any possibility of ascending the throne? Pretty important thoughts, so we want to hear those words clearly. Mozart takes care of that. But then, when Vitellia's emotional state changes from preoccupation to resolve, we hear it poured out in melodic strains, with the addition of some mellifluous ornamentation. The aria Non più di fiori from the second act of Mozart's La Clemenza di Tito. Vitellia's role sung there by Fatma Said. The endings of each of those sections really brought out emotion in a different way than did Monteverdi or Dowland, who relied on the power of text and how the music would serve it. With Mozart, the intensity of emotion is more on a par with intensity of dynamics or volume. Combining the ability to sing words clearly in recitative and then switch gears into contrasting high-volume dramatic sections, as well as the ability to take agile turns around melismatic passages, these were all important priorities for singers in the late 18th century. And as the spaces in orchestras got larger and larger throughout the 19th century, vocal techniques adapted to the styles so singers could continue working. But something had to give, and public tastes and composer styles were also changing, and more music in the West was heading towards larger productions and performing forces. By the time we get to the mid-1800s, there are massive sounds coming out of opera houses thanks to the likes of Wagner, with large orchestral forces underpinning heroic voices. By the time we get to the mid-1800s, there are massive sounds coming out of opera houses thanks to the likes of Wagner, with large orchestral forces underpinning heroic voices. But we still get to hear smaller-scale works that require vocal finesse, agility, and nuanced musicality. For example, the leader of Schubert, Schumann, Strauss, and Wolf, and into the early 20th century, the modern French chanson of Fauré, Debussy, or Duparc. mezzo-soprano Stéphanie Doustrac with Pascal Jourdan at the piano performing Henri Duparc's L'Invitation au Voyage. The poetry of Charles Baudelaire married to music, but with a melody that's designed to display those long arcs of phrase that a trained voice would elegantly perform. Which is the priority here? Is it the music or the poetry? It seems we're not concerned with overt ornamentation in this period either, so what remains to be shown off, the beauty of the words or the presence of the voice which expresses them? Although this brief tour of musical styles doesn't seem to have left us with concrete answers, one thing becomes apparent. There's not only a mixture of priorities at play during each period in Western musical history, but there also seems to be an historical pendulum swinging between simplicity and complexity. Sometimes tastes favor a simple delivery of texts. At other times, composers are ready to oblige audiences with copious florid passages. Or the text might be straightforward, accessible, and uncomplicated. One could even argue sometimes bordering on the banal, but the vocal fireworks that deliver that text are the real showstoppers. And then, trying to have one's cake and eat it too. Sometimes the poetry of national bards like Shakespeare, Goethe, Cervantes, or Tasso is combined with exquisite harmonies and excellent melodic writing. It seems that the only constant is change. So what about the voices themselves? If the way we use voices for singing changes all the time, how can there be any one beautiful voice? I'd like to invite us to think about enculturation, the idea that we develop frameworks to understand the music we hear through the shaping influences of our environment. Science seems to agree with this idea. Recent research into human music cognition suggests that enculturation affects one's understanding of music structure before adulthood, but can also be affected later in life by exposure or training. Also, it seems we can be encultured in more than one setting. If, for example, we're raised within a Western European musical setting, but also regularly exposed to, say, Senegalese music, for example, we could become musically bicultural. And if we further expose ourselves through training or passive listening to Indian classical music, we might become musically multicultural. So, back now to beautiful voices. How do we judge the beauty of a voice? I propose that it really is in the ear of the beholder, or the behearer, if you will. But why? Because we are encultured to find it beautiful, is my thinking. We've been training ourselves passively or actively by studying or listening to musical styles that might have been handed down by parents, teachers, friends, colleagues, and in this day and age, influencers, social media, streaming player algorithms. But tastes can change, and they do. In this short interval, we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic. And in our interconnected, multicultural world, we might never be able to agree on what makes a beautiful voice beautiful. But it sure does matter what common experiences we share when we decide to judge voices as beautiful. And since we've come together because of our shared experience of listening to classical Western singing, but we also have the benefit of being exposed to many other styles of music here on RTE Lyric FM, I'll leave you with something that I think you'll find brings together what's perhaps both familiar and new for many of us. Bringing back Fatma Saeed, 2016 winner of the Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition, this is an expression of what at least I would judge to be a real bel canto, beautiful singing. The song Sahar el-Layali by Lebanese composer Elias Rahbani.
شو كانت حلوة الليالي والهوا يبقى ناطرنا وتجي تلاقيني وياخدنا بعيد هدير المي والليل.
Looking forward to the next time we can spend together exploring the human voice. I'm Vlad Smishkevich, and this is RTE Lyric FM.
Vlad Vlad Smishkevich on what makes a voice a beautiful voice. To listen back to this interval, check out the RTE Lyric Live webpage.
Paul Herriot, inviting you to join me this Friday evening from 7 for RTE Lyric Live as the National Concert Hall honours musical titan and one of the most talented academics, pianists and composers of his era, Micheál Ó Suilleabháin, with its 2022 Lifetime Achievement Award. Iarla Ó Leonard, Mike McGoldrick and Mel Mercier are amongst those who joined the National Symphony Orchestra under David Brophy for Lumen, a celebration of light. Join me, Paul Herriot, for RTE Lyric Live honouring Micheál Ó Suilleabháin this Friday evening from 7 here on 96 to 99 RTE Lyric FM.
You're listening to RTE Lyric Live.
Available to podcast now. The Lyric Feature has over 80 programmes about music, literature, visual arts and other areas where creativity is manifest.
Somewhere in the world right now, morning is breaking. Every living thing wakes. At this very moment, someone is greeting a new day.
I don't think I would have written that book if I had been still living in Ireland. The distance allowed me to be as angry as I was on the page.
I find singing with my eyes closed, if my nose is touching the mic, I know exactly where I am.
We were born with it, really. My father, my mother, and my aunts and uncles, they were all singers, lovely singers.
He demanded full attention and respect, and he got it like that.
Subscribe to the Lyric Feature at rte.ie/podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts.
You're listening to RTE Lyric Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome back to the second half of the Gala finals to this year's Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition, being live streamed and broadcast live on RTE Lyric FM. As we look forward now to welcome our fourth finalist. Now, in the wonderful realm of Irish arts, we of course regard all the world as our family, with nary a nod nor a wink towards partiality or prejudice. That being said, it is a particular and a joyous pleasure to welcome our next competitor, Irish mezzo-soprano Aebh Kelly. Currently a member of the Masquerade Opera Studio in Florence, Aebh is a graduate of the Royal Irish Academy of Music and a member of the Irish National Opera Young Artists Programme. A multi-prize winner at Ireland's Festkiel competition and a finalist at Germany's Neue Stimmen International Singing Competition, Aebh has starred in and has covered exciting roles with the INO, including that of the Red Queen in Gerald Barry's Alice's Adventures Underground, and she also starred as recitalist with the INO Orchestra at Tara Iroch's groundbreaking A Celebration of the Voice series in 2020. For her choices this evening, Aebh is set to deliver the daring do of Rosina, the heroine of Rossini's Il Barbiere di Siviglia, and her pledge to marry the man of her choice in Una voce poco fa. I'll let them rule me, I'll let them guide me, but if they touch where my weak spot is, I'll be a viper, she warns us. A far gentler analogy awaits us in an aria from Romeo et Juliet, Charles Gounod's operatic take on the star-crossed lovers. In Que fais-tu, blanche tourterelle, it's over to Romeo's irrepressible page Stefano, who sings outside the house of the enemy Capulets. What are you doing, white turtle dove, in this nest of vultures, is his serenade. Juliet, of course, being the dove. Someday soon, unfolding your wing, you will follow love, he declares. And finally, a lesson in how to really, really suffer for love. There is few who can match the vehemence of Dorabella, one of the heroines of Mozart's comedy Così fan tutte, or Thus Do All Women. Having waved off her fiancé to war, Dorabella is now officially devastated, as she announces in the aria Ascostasi and smanie implacabili. Implacable restlessness that disturbs me inside this soul doesn't cease until it makes me die. A lady who protests a tad too much, perhaps. With an array of colour and character, ladies and gentlemen, the National Symphony Orchestra, esteemed Maestro Laurent Wagner, and welcoming Irish mezzo-soprano, Aebh Kelly.
amorosa, mi lascio reggere, mi può guidar, Ma se mi tocca dove io debole, una vimera sarò, e cento trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar, e cento trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar, e
Oh, she's just magic, and we're not at all biased. Mezzo-soprano Aebh Kelly giving a radiant performance. It's time to welcome a starry soprano as our next competitor at this year's Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. Laura Lolita Peresivana hails from Latvia, and she's a graduate of both London's Royal Academy of Music and the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. Currently a member of the National Opera Studio, Laura is recipient of numerous awards and commendations. Just last year, she was a finalist at the Guildhall Gold Medal, a semi-finalist at the Paris Opera, Neue Stimmen and Kathleen Ferrier competitions, and she achieved the Musicians' Company Award. In her opera roles, Laura has starred as Donizetti's Rita, Mozart's Fiordiligi, Bellini's Giulietta, and Massenet's Manon, to name but a few. And for her program tonight, Laura begins by introducing us to the ultimate femme fatale of modern opera, Lulu, eponymous star of Alban Berg's opera. Throughout a picaresque career of seduction, betrayal, and notoriety, Lulu takes time out to expound a sort of credo in her aria known as the Lulu-Lied. Wenn sich die Menschen meinetwillen umgebracht haben. If men have killed themselves for my sake, that doesn't lower my value, she points out. What a contrast to our next heroine, faithful and forsaken, the Countess in Mozart's opera Le Nozze di Figaro, The Marriage of Figaro. Bereft in her solitude, she sings, Porgi amor qualche ristoro. O love, bring some relief to my sorrows, to my sighs, hoping against hope that her errant count will forsake his philandering. And finally, a little comic relief, courtesy of Gioacchino Rossini and his one-act farce, Il Signor Bruschino. Poor Sophia has been promised in marriage to a man she's never even met, son of her father's old friend, which puts a spoke in her plans to marry her own true love. Actually, now I say it, it doesn't seem very comical, but I promise it all ends well. Ah, donato il caro sposo, sings Sophia. Give to a soul who sighs, her beloved spouse. My repose, my calm depend solely upon you. With these arias, ladies and gentlemen, the National Symphony Orchestra, Maestro Laurent Wagner, and from Latvia, soprano Laura Lolita Peresivana. Oh, what a vocal triumph from wonderful Latvian soprano Laura Lolita Peresivana. And for those who are listening at home via RTE Lyric FM, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful wordless song that you heard was courtesy of the Cor Anglais Obligato from the NSO's Deborah Clifford. She's just fantastic. Now, for the final competitor in the 2022 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition, it is a pleasure to welcome all the way from South Korea, bass baritone Changdai Park. A graduate of Seoul National University, Changdai has won a wide range of competitions in South Korea and also a Minister of Culture award before coming west. In 2021, he was awarded a prize at the Belvedere International Competition. And for the last 3 years, Changdai has been a member of the Berlin Komische Oper, where he's racked up a series of exceptional roles, such as Figaro in Mozart's Le Nozze di Figaro, Zaretsky in Tchaikovsky's Eugene Onegin, and Farfanello in Prokofiev's The Love for Three Oranges. Set to commence his program in fine style tonight, Changdai portrays that master factotum stroke valet Figaro, who charts a plan of action when he hears of his master's plans to seduce Figaro's fiancée Zuzanna. Se vuol barare, signor Contino. If, my dear Count, you feel like dancing, it's I who'll call the tune, he promises. To follow a more mature contemplation, that of Hans Sachs, guildsman and master singer in Richard Wagner's comedy Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg. A young man, Walter, has affronted the craftsmen of song with this new kind of sound, something strange and wild to them. But to Sachs, Walter's song conveys a purity and a beauty which now haunts him. Was duftet doch der Flieder so mild, so stark und wohl, he muses. What scent but that of the lilacs, so gentle, so strong and full. And finally, we don't like this guy. Don Basilio is a trouble stirrer in Rossini's opera buffa Il Barbiere di Sevilla, or The Barber of Seville. Set to confound the hopes of a young couple, he lays out the power of slander. La calunnia è un venticello. Calumny is a little breeze, he begins, and those who know how to employ it can create a tumult to crush the poor victim. Best to stay on this guy's good side. With 3 arias of contrast and character, ladies and gentlemen, the National Symphony Orchestra, Maestro Laurent Wagner, and welcoming bass baritone Changdai Park.
signor padrone, ora incomincio a capir il mistero e a vedere schietto tutto il vostro progetto. A Londra è vero, voi ministro, io corriero, e la Zuzanna. Sempre l'ambasciatrice, non sarà, Figaro dice. Se vuol ballare, signor Cantino, se vuol ballare, signor Cantino, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò. Se vuoi venire nella mia scuola, la capriola le insegnerò. Se vuoi venire nella mia scuola, la capriola le insegnerò, sì, le insegnerò, sì, le insegnerò. Saprò, 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 ma piano, 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 piano. Leoni arrecano a ti simulando scoprir potrò. L'alte semendo, l'ater brando, ti capocendo, ti la schiacciando, tutte le macchine rovescerò, rovescerò. L'alte semendo, l'ater brando, ti capocendo, ti la schiacciando, tutte le macchine rovescerò, tutte le macchine rovescerò, tutte le macchine rovescerò, rovescerò, rovescerò. Se vuol ballare, signor Cantino, se vuol ballare, signor Cantino, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò. Was duftet doch, ihr Flieder, so mild, so stark und voll. Mir lässt es weich die Glieder. Dass ich was sagen soll. Was gilt's, was ich dir sagen kann? In gar ein Arm Kein fätig Mann soll mir die Arbeit nicht schmecken. Gäb's Freund, lieber mich frei, etwas was Lieder zu schrecken, und ließ alle Poeterei. Doch, es will heut nicht gehen. Ich fühl's und kann's nicht verstehen, kann's nicht behalten, doch auch nicht vergessen. Und fass ich es ganz, kann ich nicht müssen, doch wie wollt ich auch fassen, was unermesslich mir ist. Kein Riegel wollte da passen. Und war doch kein Fehler drin. Es klang so alt und war doch so neu. Vogelsang im süßen Mai, hört und anbetört, selber im Vogel nach, im rechten Spott und Schmach. Wenn's es gebot, der Schnabel heut gewachsen. Macht ihr dem Meister Dank, gar wohl gefiel noch an Sachsen. mia e un venticello, una oretta assai gentile che insensibile e sottile, leggermente, dolcemente incomincia sussurrar. Piano piano, terra terra, sottovoce, sivillando, va scorrendo, va ronzando, nell'orecchia della gente s'introduce destremente e le tesori cervelli, passere dire, fa gonfiar. Dalla bocca fuori uscendo, lo schiamazzo va crescendo, prende forza poco a poco, vola già il loco, sente dolo la tempesta che ne senderà foresta, affiscando, grondolando e di fare ragerà, alla finta bocca scoppia, se propaga, se ranocchia e produce l'esplosione. Come un colpo di cannone, come un colpo di cannone, un tremolto temporale, un tumulto cerellare che fa l'aria rimbombare, un tremolto temporale, un tumulto cerellare che fa l'aria rimbombare. Il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagelo verrà sorte e il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte fa crepar, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte va crepar, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte va crepar, si va crepar, si va crepar.
So very naughty and magnificently nice. A final competitor in this year's Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition, bass baritone Changdai Park. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have now heard all our finalists, 6 remarkable young vocalists who have given their all, and now it is up to our esteemed panel to make their decisions. A challenging task indeed. And just a reminder that, of course, you can cast your own vote for your favorite singer. The winner of the audience prize receives €1,000. So if you are watching via live stream, you can check out the QR code on the screen if you're watching that way. Or for our NCH audience, please just apply to the QR code on your program, or indeed the little coupon, if you prefer. Tick it off and hand it to an usher. Well, we look forward to rejoin you shortly for the prize giving, but before we take our leave, I know they've already had applause, but ladies and gentlemen, they really deserve all our appreciation. These magnificent artists who have graced the stage all evening with Maestro Laurent Wagner. This is the National Symphony Orchestra.
it's over, I know, but I can't let it go. See, I got a candle and it burns so bright in my window every night. Well, it's over, I know, but I can't let it go. You don't like to see me standing around, feel like I got shot and I didn't fall down. Well, it's over, I know, but I can't let it go. You won't take me back when I come around. He says he's sorry, then he pulls me out. I got a big chain around my neck and I'm broken down like a train wreck. Well, it's over, I know it, but I can't let go. Turn off the trouble like you turn off the light. One off and let me in, it just ain't right. Well, it's over, I know I can't let go. Around every corner, something I see brings me right back how it used to be. Well, it's over, I know, but I can't let go. You won't take me back when I come around. Says he's sorry, then he pulls me out. I got a big chain around my neck and I'm broken down like a train wreck. Well, it's over, I know, but I can't let go. He won't take me back when I come around. Says he's sorry, then he pulls me out. I got a big chain around my neck and I'm broken down like a train wreck. Well, it's over, I know, but I can't let go. It's over, I know, but I can't let go. It's over, I know, but I can't let go. Taking a long trip, packing a big crib. Gonna be real hip, gotta be on time. Baby is waiting, anticipating. Gonna be mating, marriage is just fine. Honeymooning is postponing. We don't want no one to tune in while we're at play, doodling away. Checking our hotel, found it is real swell. Where can I find that do not disturb sign? Stopping our phone calls, climbing the four walls. No reservations for us to go dine. Honeymooning is postponing. We don't want no one to tune in while we're at play, doodling away. We just doodle all day. We just doodle all night. We should like it that way. We don't fuss, we don't fight. Well, what more can I say? We should do just right.
Taking a long trip, packing a big grip, gonna be real hip, gotta be on time. Baby is waiting, anticipating, gonna be mating, marriage is just fine. Honeymooning is for spooning, we don't want no one to tune in while we at play, doodling away. Checking our hotel, find it is real swell. Where can I find that do not disturb sign? Stopping our phone calls, climbing the four walls. No reservations for us to go dine. Honeymoon that is for spooning. We don't want no one to tune in while we're at play, doodling away. We should like it that way.
The great jazz vocalist D.D. Bridgewater in Horace Silver's Doodlin' with Friends. Before that, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss in Randy Weeks' Can't Let Go from Raise the Roof. And before that, Edie B. Do Heaven Queen with Bernhard Laudner and the ensemble Unicorn. And you're on the Blue of the Night, but just to say, I meant to say that we will be going back to Liz Nolan and the National Concert Hall as soon as the results of the Veronica Dunne International competition are arrived at by the jury. I don't envy them, but we will go back. So whatever we're playing, we'll simply fade out, go straight back over, and sure we can play it again. In the meantime, here's some amazing spaced out Syrian music from, I think, the 12th century. Dina Rezadeh, Ensemble Unicorn. Incredible playing from Ensemble Unicorn, unbelievable playing from them in an anonymous piece from the Syrian tradition, Dina Rezadeh, which I said was the 12th century. That's when it was written down in the 12th century. It may probably date a couple of centuries even before that. Let's stay in this old world, the ancient world, and come closer to home. The Táin, on one level, is the telling of a tale of a Celtic warrior society, epic campaign, revolves around two of the most enigmatic and powerful characters in Irish mythology. Artistically speaking, the challenge is to make the music live up to that, and the fact that this is one of the most iconic works of literature in Irish culture. The deep end of the Ford Ensemble, led by the brilliant sean-nós singer Lorcan MacMahuna, use lyrics taken from this medieval Irish manuscript on Táin, the Book of Leinster, and they sing, and Lorcan sings in Old Irish. The ensemble render it in really rugged and haunting music. I don't know where this music is coming or going. You can point to different things, but it's a kind of fusion of all of these things, often improvising on all of these things and colouring it as they go. It's really marvellous stuff. Haunting, brilliant settings of Antoine by Lorcan MacMahuna and the Deep End of the Ford Ensemble. We heard them in The Prophecy of Fidelma and Pillow Talk. Wonderful, really wonderful music making. One of their members is a friend of mine, Sean McAlane. Sean is an inspired clarinetist, a master of electronics, composer, arranger, and latterly superb recording engineer and producer. But here he is as musician, as solo musician, just with clarinet and electronics in Long After the Music is Gone. Sean McAlane's Long After the Music is Gone from the album of the same name on the Ergodos label. If you don't know that album, I'd urge you to check it out. It must bring more of it to the Blue of the Night. It's a wonderful, beautiful, evocative album. You're on the Blue of the Night here on RTE Lyric FM, and like you, yes, we are impatiently awaiting the judges over at the National Concert Hall as to who they're going to pick out of those 6 fantastic runners in the prize. I mean, there's 2 prizes. One will win the overall prize, one will win the audience prize. But I don't know how they're going to do it. But as soon as Liz gets word, we will go straight back to Liz Nolan at the National Concert Hall and find out who is the winner of the Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition for 2022. If you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, drop us an email, blue.lyricfm@rte.ie, blue.lyricfm@rte.ie. We're also on Twitter at BernardLyricFM, at BernardLyricFM. In the meantime, we go to Goran Bregovic, and then to Ryushi Sakamoto and Albanoto. But I hasten to add that as soon as we hear from Liz, we will fade down and go straight over to her, but we can always go back to whoever. Okay, this is Goran Bregovic. That's from Goran Bregovic's Arizona Dream, Old Home Movie. We're interrupting it because we are going back to the National Concert Hall, to Liz Nolan, to find out that the jury have come to the decisions as to the winners of tonight's exciting final of the 2022 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition. So let's go back to the National Concert Hall in Dublin. And Liz, please tell us the results.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the answers to the $1 million question, how to choose between these 6 magnificent young artists. Before we go any further, could we please show your best appreciation for our magnificent international jury? and our 6 artists, each of whom is surely guaranteed a stellar future on the international opera stage. Let us welcome them now. They are surely all stars, but of course there will be winners chosen, and we shall be hearing those results in just a couple of moments' time. But before that, it's a great pleasure and a privilege to invite the chair of the Friends of the Vocal Arts to say a couple of words. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dermot Hegarty.
Well, need I tell anybody that the founder of the Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition was our own favourite, Ronnie. Ronnie passed away in spring 2021, and this is the first time the competition runs without her present. And tonight would not be complete without words of tribute to her. Ronnie spent her time studying in Rome under the watchful eye of Monsignor Hugh O'Flaherty, known as a Scarlet Pimpernel, who saved Jews from death camps and prisoners from captivity in their thousands. One day, in early spring of 1947, she accompanied the Monsignor at his request to the Ardiantine Caves just outside Rome, where in March 1944, 332 Italians had been executed and buried by the SS. In reprisal for the death of 32 SS troopers. The SS had blasted the cave, entrance closed. The Italians had opened the cave, and the people of Rome were gathered in a crowd to pray and console with each other. Inside the caves, Ronnie and the Monsignor walked in silence, amid candles burning and wreaths of flowers, looking at photos sitting on the coffins, along with the name and age of the persons inside. Ronnie described the scene in her own words. I was overwhelmed by the tragedy of the scene, and my tears began to flow. I noticed the Monsignor was crying too. I've always considered Monsignor Flaherty my hero, because whenever I'm asked to define heroism, or to identify the qualities that I feel most exemplify it, I do not try and recount abstract explanations, but simply revisit the very real image, forever buried in my mind, of the tall priest standing beside me in the caves with tears streaming down his face. Since my time in Rome, I'm always reminded by the Monsignor, by good people doing good things. And my measuring tape for heroism has always been, and will always remain, a good priest from Kerry, who during extraordinary times was quite simply an extraordinary man. His measuring tape was ruled in extraordinary times. And this was the measuring tape Ronnie applied to her own life. How, one may ask, is a measuring tape ruled in ordinary times? Ronnie was an extraordinary woman, and like the Monsignor, her charisma was larger than life. She was the singing teacher par excellence for years and years. Hers was a name synonymous with good teaching. She was a mother, father, mentor, and general minder to her students over the years, including housing, feeding, and clothing them, once buying one a tuxedo. She was a totally unique, one-off person, totally dedicated and committed to her teaching and to her students, at times giving daily lessons, and she was there for them literally 24 hours a day. She was an extraordinary woman with a big heart. Hers was truly the measure of heroism in ordinary times. In this competition, Ronnie was committed to providing a platform for young opera singers who would be heard by a judging panel from opera studios throughout the world. She was also a very shrewd judge of character and gathered around her people who would be utterly committed to sharing this mission. No doubt she would share with me the words of thanks to them and to all organisations who've contributed to the competition's success. May I first thank our patron, President Michael D. Higgins. I'd like to thank my co-directors at Griffith College, the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media, the National Symphony Orchestra and Lyric FM, the National Concert Hall, Hinch Distillery, Dr. Cross, and other prize donors mentioned in your programme, the Baron Hotel, and many individuals for their private donations, and all our loyal friends, patrons, and supporters. May I also thank our committee, each chosen by Ronnie for their particular skill, be it musical, administrative, financial, or contact network, each bringing to the table a key element in the competition's success. For the event itself, I'd like to thank our wonderful MC, Liz Nolan, our jury introduced to you by Liz, the RT Symphony Orchestra, led with such empathy by conductor Laurent Wagner, our accompanists, Julian Florent, our performance coach, Ralph, and our host families, whose caring for competitions is so much in keeping with Ronnie's caring ethos. I'd also like to thank our very strong administrative team, some of them donating their time, and for the very smooth running of the competition this past week. And indeed, all our artistic fundraising events ably led by Artistic Administrator Dervla Collins. Finally, may I thank the music teachers of all our competitors. They should be particularly proud of their teaching and their students, as the standard of the competition was exceptionally high this year. Thank you.
Thanks indeed to Mr. Dermot Hegarty for his typical eloquence and a beautiful rendering of the importance and power of a night such as tonight in continuing artistry and music education in the vocal arts. There are 3 other individuals on stage tonight whose presence I would love to celebrate with you. Dervla Collins, the Artistic Administrator of the Veronica Dunne International Competition. Also, our honoured guests include Mr. Michael Morris of Hinch Distillery. How lovely you're here, Michael. And not forgetting a wonderful privilege tonight to welcome Mrs. Judy Gone, beg your pardon, the daughter of Veronica Dunne. And we look forward to hear from you in a couple of moments, Judy. But first, of course, there is the minor matter of a competition to resolve. And without further ado, I would like to hand you over to the chair of the Veronica Dunne International Competition, Jane Carty.
Now, good evening all, and I'm not going to make a speech as I know all you want to hear the results. But first, I want to say a very special thank you to my wonderful jury, Richard, Tara, Christina, David, Isla, and Jonathan. Your expertise, love of singing and young singers, and your joy in discovering new talent and promise has been inspiring. Thank you all so much. And we should also like to show our appreciation for the wonderful support given here tonight to our young singers by the National Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Laurent Wagner. Now, the results. First of all, a prize of €500 each goes to our 6 semi-finalists who did not reach the final, and they are Ted Black, Rory Dunn, Caroline Holt, Jolien Loy, Alexander Novakovsky, and Rebecca Rogers. Now, the Dermot Troy Prize of €500, presented by the Gaughan family for the highest placed Irish singer in the competition, goes to Aebh Kelly. And the Jones Sutherland Prize of €500 for the most promising singer aged 25 and under, presented also by the Gowan family, goes to Grisha Martirosyan. The Dublin Song Series Prize of €500 for the best performance of a song in the semi-final in any language goes to Aebh Kelly for a performance of O Men from the Fields by Herbert Hughes. Now, the Oratorio Prize of €500 in memory of singer William Young for the best performance of an oratorio aria in the semi-final, presented by his wife, Alison Young, goes to Changdai Park. Now, the Audience Prize of €1,000 for the performance in the final, voted for by the audience, you, as their favourite, is sponsored by Brian McElroy, and it goes to Grisha Martirosyan. Now, the Vilkerna Prize of €1,000, presented by me, his wife, in his memory, for the best performance of an aria by Mozart in any round of the competition, goes to Aaron Godfrey-Mayes for his singing of Dies Bildnis in the final. Now for the 6 main prizes. The winner of the 6th prize of €1,000, donated by the Johnston family, Dallas, Texas, in memory of their mother, Patricia Kitty Johnston, is Changdai Park. And the winner of the 5th prize of €2,000, presented by Martin Coonan and friends and supporters of the competition, is Zuzanna Nalewajek. The winner of the 4th prize of €3,000, presented by Mags and Liam Gilligan, is Laura Lolita Peresivana. The winner of the 3rd prize of €4,000, presented by Deirdre Lyons of Altec, Aaron Godfrey-Mayes. And the winner of the 2nd prize of €5,000, presented by a private donor, is Aebh Kelly. And the winner of the 2022 Veronica Dunne International Singing Competition and a prize of €10,000, sponsored by Hinch Distillery Company, goes to Grisha Martirosyan.
what a magnificent night. What a testament to the wonderful Dr. Veronica Dunne. Congratulations to Grisha, to all our wonderful artists. Thank you to our incomparable judges. And the final word this evening, it's such a pleasure and a privilege to introduce her, the daughter of Dr. Veronica Dunne. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Judy Gaughan.
I think Mum is smiling up there in the angels after tonight's performances. This has been a tremendous competition and a testament to her followers and to all the people who loved my mother. The competition is alive and well, her legacy is alive and well, and our family is here tonight with me, my brother, her grandson and daughter-in-law, and her granddaughter-in-law. And we're so proud of our mother, of her grandmother, and we're so thankful to all of you for your support to her over the years, and especially tonight. And I want to thank the whole committee of the Vocal Arts for their tremendous work to get this competition up and staged, dealing with the pandemic, dealing with all of the barriers that they had to deal with to get this back on track. So again, thank you so much from behalf of our family, and I wish you all a very, very safe journey home, and thank you for coming. Good night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a fantastic night. And the good news is that you can listen and watch it all over again via RTE Lyric FM Live. So do please go and enjoy yourselves and savor this wonderful artistry. Safe home, thank you very much.